Hey y'all, and welcome to Monter's Market, and welcome to part 2 of Unicorn Dust Designs Spotlight Saturday featuring myself, Brenda from Monter's Market. Let's get into my video and we'll talk a little bit more about me in just a minute. So for DIY number 1, I'm going to make this gorgeous pedestal tier tray. This candlestick I found at the Goodwill for $1. Some random beads that I have. These little rounds you can get from Hobby Lobby. I think there's 5 in a pack. And they're 12 inches. Some antique wax. Some plaster, both by Waverly. And I'm going to start out by just giving this candlestick a fresh coat of plaster chalk paint from Waverly. I'm going to paint the entire thing. Probably going to be like, why are you going to paint it if you're going to turn around and mess it back up again? But that's how you get the distressed look. And I liked the distressed look that this candlestick already had. However, it was a dirty distressed look. There's a difference in stressed as in farmhouse stressed or de-stressed and just downright dirty. And that candlestick was just downright dirty. Even after I washed it, it was still dirty. So I painted it. And now I'm going to go in with the antique wax and I'm going to stain my wood rounds. Usually I just take the antique wax and a baby wipe and dip the baby wipe down in there, rub it all over the wood, and it gives it the most gorgeous wood color that you could imagine. It brings out every single piece of wood grain in whatever wood you're working on. And I love, love, love using this antique wax. So I'll just continue to rub the antique wax all over both of my wood rounds. One of them turns out prettier than the other one, so that's the one I'm going to choose to use on the top of my little riser. And I'm going to bring them together in just a few minutes with some beads. But first I'm going to take one of my leftover baby wipes and just kind of wipe around the candlestick like you see me doing. That's going to give it a little distressing. Then I'm going to take a little hand sander that you can get from the Dollar Tree and just rough it up. It's a 120 grit, so it's not real rough. And I'm just going to rub till I rub some of that paint that I just put on back off, distressing it, giving it that typical farmhouse sort of look. Whenever you're sanding something like this, make sure you take a damp rag. It doesn't have to be super wet. I think I actually used a baby wipe. And go in and make sure that you wipe it down really good and get all of the dust off, whether it's paint dust or sawdust or whatever you're doing. Now, I'm going to take these beads that I got from Amazon. No, I'm not. I'm sorry. Let me correct myself. The darker beads I actually got from Dollar Tree recently. They're selling them in these small packs of, 25 or 30. And they're really good quality, believe it or not. So I'm going to take the darker brown beads. I am going to glue them with the wood glue. Now, I love using the hot glue wood sticks. Wood glue hot sticks. I don't know, how do you say that? Anyway, the wood glue that comes for my glue gun works like a dream. I use the Surebonder brand and it is amazing. So this is me just kind of going in and trying to figure out where I want the beads and everything. And then I'm going to take my hot glue and glue the beads down, glue the two pieces together, glue that to my candlestick, and voila, look how beautiful this turned out. I love, love, love it. I love the warm tones that sort of bring it back down into the fall decor sort of. I like the shabby chic French country farmhouse look. And this is going to allow me to bring those colors back into my kitchen and take all of the bright lemons and things out that are in there and bring in some greens and browns and rust and, just neutral tones. So let me know what you think about this first DIY down in the comment section. But for now, let me tell you just a little bit more about me. Hey y'all, and welcome back to Monter's Market. Thank you for coming over from Sammie's channel. I hope you enjoyed the 4 DIYs that I just did for you, and I hope you enjoy that I have for you now. I know I was supposed to do 4, but one of them was so quick and easy that it was almost like a cheat. So I figured, let's give them a little bit more bang for their buck. Just throw an extra one in there. I hope that was okay, Sammie. My name is Brenda. My precious little baby angel grandbabies, all 18 of them, call me Monner, and that's where Monner's Market came from. I have the most amazing family and the most precious husband in the world. September 4th, we'll be celebrating our 30th anniversary, and he still gives me butterflies, like literally still, right, I got chills. Right now I got chills. I love him so much. We have the most amazing relationship. But anyway, we came here to craft. So 3 of my crafts are gonna be thrift flip sort of creations, not necessarily thrift flips, but DIYs. 2 will be specifically fall related, but I'm going to be bringing in those warm shabby chic tones that bring me back into fall. What you see here is kind of like my normal neutral colors, right? But what you don't see on the other side of the camera is all of the bright yellow lemons and things like that that I decorate with. So we're gonna bring it back down to the warm neutral colors. Why in the world are we doing this so in advance? Because that was one of the biggest questions I had when I first started crafting, or watching crafters, like, why are they doing this in July when fall's not till, well, see, we're in Florida, so it's summer 11 months out of the year. Anyway, I'm like, why so early? Well, let me tell you why. Because by the time we create something for you, you watch it, you go to the store and buy the things to create it, then you have plenty of time to set it out for fall. If we waited until fall and you watched it, you're not going to have time to go to the store and buy anything to recreate it with, because usually things are already so picked over, but then you're like, you're out of time, right? You're right on top of fall, and why bother to put it out at that point? So that's why we do this. But anyway, enough rambling for me. Let's get into the rest of my video. I hope you like that little tier tray riser, whatever you want to call it, that I just made. I love it. You can use any candlestick to make it. Anyway, I'll hush now. Thank you for coming to Monner's Market. Thank you for watching. Hit that subscribe button if you like what you see today and become part of my family. And either way, give me a big thumbs up and leave me a comment. I love to converse with you. So thanks for coming. Thanks for watching. Be blessed. Bye now. So for DIY number 2, I made this cute little stand from items from the Dollar Tree. Everything came from the Dollar Tree except for this paper that came from Hobby Lobby. I took the little ribbons off, and I was going to actually leave the C's because my last name starts with C, but I love this paper. You just see me sort of indenting that middle piece because it's 3D, it stands up, gluing it down, sanding it down to get, like even it all up. I'm going to take some twine, wrap it around about 3 or 4 times around those little stems. Then I'm going to make me a little finger bow. And that's all I'm going to do to the pumpkins. And look at the transformation by just adding that little piece of cardstock right to the front of it in the middle. I love, love, love these colors for fall. I think they are gorgeous. And I have used this particular paper 2 or 3 years in a row now for different projects. It never gets old. I love, especially the circles, the polka dots. That's my favorite. But anyway, I add my little twine bows or my finger bows, whatever you want to call them. And then you get these little pieces of wood from Dollar Tree. They come in like 4, 6, 8, 12 inches. This one is a 12-inch piece of wood. And I'm going to use my Vintage Effects wash. It's just like the antique wax from Waverly. Does the same exact thing. I'm going to rub it on and then wipe it back off. And once it dries, I'm going to take white Waverly chalk paint and just paint over this Hello Fall. Now, this little sign came in a package of like 5 or 6 last year at the Dollar Tree. It had different little fall sayings. I'm just going to hot glue everything down to this little stick, and that is it. It could not be any easier than making this cute little piece to set on your mantle or your TV or on a counter. Look how adorable it is, and it just brings fall right into the house. I love it. Let me know down in the comments what you think about my DIY number 2. Look at those polka dots. I love them. They are so adorable. Love, love, love it. Now let's get into DIY number 3. Okay, for DIY number 3, I found this adorable little canister set at the Goodwill for $5.99. And as I've said before, I go on senior day, so I get it for half price. So I paid $3 for this, and it's actually a pretty good little size, but it was filthy. I always feel dirty when I leave Goodwill anyway, but this was extra dirty. So anyway, I washed it up really, really good, cleaned it, let it dry overnight, and when I started thinking about how do I want it to look, I thought, you know what, I really kind of liked the way it looked. But like the candlestick, it was just dirty. So I went in with the same plaster paint from Waverly. Look at the coat. Look at that. Look at the transformation from just one coat of paint. I mean, it gives it a brand new look. Same thing with your walls when you paint your house. It's like, what? You know, all that beautifulness under one coat of paint. Anyway, I gave it a little fresh coat of paint all over. Once I'd done that, of course, I've got to bring it back down to Farmhouse. And Farmhouse is what? All beat up, banged up, old, rustic, whatever. So once I got it good and dry, I went in with a hand sander that you can get from the Dollar Tree and did the same thing that I did with the candlestick and just beat it up and roughed it up and distressed it down to give it that cute farmhouse look. I filled one side of it with my favorite Lucky Charms and the other side with some cookies. And look at how stinking cute this turned out for $3. I love it. I cannot wait to hear what you think about it down in the comments below. So let me know what you think about this $3 thrift flip. I thought it was a pretty good little find, and the seal around the glass part where the lid goes was still very tight. You know, sometimes when you buy things like that, the seal is either cracked or broken or sometimes stretched out and you can't really get a good seal on your jar. But these jars were still, to be as old and ragged out as they were, still really super tight. So for $3, I fell in love with it, and it cleaned up as pretty as I wanted it to. So let me know what you think about it down in the comments. Now, this DIY here, I think is adorable. This is one of the ones that I consider my fall. I took this little cupcake stand or whatever you want to call it from the Dollar Tree. And these little plates I got from the Dollar Tree, they're just microwave plates is all they are. There's 2 of them in a pack. I took some E6000 and some hot glue and I glued them to each other. Then I went in with some Waverly chalk paint in the color white and I painted that plate because it was a super shiny plastic, right? And I didn't want it to be this super shiny plastic, and I want it to be sort of farmhousey because everything I do, or 90% of everything I do, is farmhouse. That's just me. That's my vibe. That's what I love to decorate with. That's what I love to create. Anyway, I went in excuse me, with the pumpkin, and I love Waverly pumpkin chalk paint, especially for the fall. To me, it is gorgeous. And I painted the middle bottom of the plate and the little cupcake stand. And I thought it turned out so cute as far as the coloring goes, right? I love that pumpkin color. After I got finished with that, I took what was left over on my white and I just sort of distressed down the bottom side, went around as you see across the bottom, giving it sort of that rustic shabby chic feel that I love so much. And once I got that done, I took this napkin that I got from the Dollar Tree last year. Now, if you look at the napkin, it has this sort of wood look on it. So I Mod Podged the napkin down to my plate, and I want to try to recreate those little wood lines. You see them there on the bottom left. So what I done, once I got the Mod Podge on there, got it all sealed down really good, is I just took some Vintage Effects wash. It's the same exact thing as the Antique Wax, like I said earlier, by Waverly. And what I did is try to recreate those little lines that you see in that sort of wood look. See how I'm doing it, just sort of going all over it and bringing it all together, making the whole thing look like it's the wood. So then I take these little beads, they're actually half beads, and I counted them out and made sure that I had enough to go on my plate. And I'm barely putting a tiny, you see how tiny a bit of paint I'm putting in this cup. And I'm putting my beads in there and I'm just swishing, swirling them around. Now I'm going to dry them off with my blow dryer, get them good and dry. And then I'm going to go around the top of the plate and glue them back down. Now, when I did this, it fit perfectly. I mean, perfectly. There wasn't room for anything. Well, when I went to put them back on, one of them wouldn't fit. And I'm like, how in the world does that happen? But I think what it is the paint actually, makes them just a tiny bit bigger. And when you get that many and you've got that little tinky spot that's a little bit bigger, you end up with this right here. So I just cut one down and pushed it down in there. And you really, when I was done, could not even tell the difference. So you couldn't tell that there was one that was just, cut a little bit. It just looked like it all flowed together and was one cohesive round piece with these cute little half beads. And this is how it turned out. And I love it. So let me know down in the comment section what you think about the way this little riser turned out. Also, tell me in the comments, which one did you like the best? Did you like number 1 or did you like number 2? The number 1 is the very first one I did, and this would be considered my number 2. So let me know which one of these risers you like the best. I love making risers and beaded garlands. Those are 2 of my favorite things to do. Now, for my last and final DIY, I'm going to take this little cutting board sign that you can get from the Dollar Tree around, well, this one I got at Easter, but I've seen them at different holidays. And I'm going to sort of deconstruct it and take those little sticks, what are they called? Straight pin, stick pin? No, they're not. Tacks. They're tacks. Lord have mercy. I don't know why I couldn't think of the word tacks. Take the tacks out, and then I'm going to give it a little coat of paint. So I'm going to go in and, like I said, take those little tacks out. And once I get the tacks removed, I'm going to take my Moss Waverly chalk paint and go around the bottom portion of the cutting board. And then once I get that bottom piece covered, what you'll see me start with the antique wax painting the top of the part that has the little eggs in the basket right there. And I noticed that it was almost like opaque or see-through. However, it was giving it a really pretty wood grain sort of effect. And I thought, oh, you know what? Let me paint it with plaster first. And once I get it painted with plaster, then go over it with antique wax. And I love the effect that it gave that paint. It was absolutely gorgeous. And it looked like wood grain. Now, I know you can't really tell it right here, but just watch as I continue to layer this antique wax on top of here. It sort of comes to life and takes on that wood grain effect. And I just thought it was so stinking pretty. And again, toned down colors, sort of, fall vibes. And I love Waverly Moss for fall. I think it's just gorgeous. Now you see me taking my paintbrush and sort of going all over with just a little bit of that antique wax, just to bring in a little bit more distressing to the picture. Now I'm going to take my surface wax from Chalk Couture. What the surface wax is going to do is sort of give me a layer on top of my picture, so that when I put my transfer down and chalk onto it and then peel it up, I'm not peeling my paint up. It's sort of like an extra layer of protection, if that makes any sense at all. So now I'm going to take my little barn and I'm going to chalk it white. And then once I get it chalked white, I'm going to put some more wax on there for another layer of protection, because I'm going to be putting a couple of other pieces down to chalk on. So the next piece says Home Sweet, and then the last piece on top of the barn says home, so Home Sweet Home. And once I get my chalking all complete, then I'm going to just doll it up just a little bit more. So I have this cute little ribbon that I got from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to put a strip around the top and a strip around the bottom. And then once I get that placed where I want it, I'm going to go in with this gorgeous little pick that I got from the Dollar Tree last year that is very fall looking, and I'm just going to take a couple of little pieces off of it to add to the top of this picture. And then once I do that, all I have to do is just reattach my little tacks, and it is finished. And I thought this turned out so stinking cute. I cannot wait to hear what you think about it down in the comments below. So I just want to say one more time, thank you so very, very much for spending the last 2 videos with me. If you are just seeing this video and you did not realize there was another video over on Sammie at Unicorn Dust Designs channel, there is a whole video of me. Sammie is doing a Spotlight Saturday, and she has decided to spotlight my channel. I am so stinking grateful. I am honored. I am just all of those wonderful gushing things. And hopefully several of you who come to view my channel today have liked what you saw and have decided to subscribe and stick around. So thank you for coming to Monner's Market. Thank you for watching. As I always say when I end my video, be blessed. Bye now.